friends, welcome back to the Art Room with Mrs. Nolte. Today we are doing part 3 of our jelly printmaking collage project. What you'll need for materials today will be your jelly texture plates that you printed, a pair of scissors, a pencil, a glue stick, and a manila folder. We're going to use the folder to make a template of a coffee cup. So here you see I have just a mug. And I'm going to use this as an idea on how to create the shapes that I'll need to make a mug. Now, I can use the mug straight up and down and not see the center of it, but I want to see that oval part so that you can get a better reference on the perspective of the cup. So I'm going to start by sketching an oval shape on my manila folder. That's going to be the opening of my cocoa mug. And then I'm going to bring my edges of the mug down. See this curve here, this part of the oval? I want to mimic this, meaning I want to have a parallel line that looks exactly the same. This is going to give it a little more perspective so that it looks like it has some form. Next, I want to make the handle. I think I want to make the handle a tiny bit thicker, but I'm going to bring it around, and this is really another oval shape. And I'm kind of looking at how the top and the bottom part of the handle connects. So I'm going to continue with that oval, and then in the center, I'm going to kind of carve this out a little bit. Okay. And notice I'm going over my lines a few times. I do it very lightly so that I can correct where if I see a little problem I can add it in darker, but I go very lightly and very sketchy with my pencil. Next on the bottom, I'm going to put this on a saucer. So I'm using that same curve line that I have at the bottom of the coffee mug. And this time I'm going to draw like an oval. Larger oval shape. To keep the perspective correct, it's going to be the same as the opening inside the cocoa mug. So I'm going to use these shapes that I just sketched as a template to trace on my jelly prints. So I'm going to cut these out. And I want you to notice that I'm cutting each part that I sketched separately. So I have a handle, and I have my saucer, and next I'm going to cut the cocoa cup body and then the inside. So I'm going to have 4 pieces, 4 separate pieces. Alright, so here's my little puzzle. This is my cocoa cup. I have the center where the cocoa is going to be, the cup, a handle, and a saucer. So these are some printed papers that I made a while ago, and I'm going to decide which ones I want to use. So I'm going to kind of just go through them. It doesn't matter what the pattern is on. I'm just trying to see what's going to look good with the background that I made. So I'm going to flip it over, and this is going to be the cocoa cup itself, and I'm going to put the template on the back. So I can't really see what part of the print I'm using. It's going to be a surprise. So I put this on the back. I'm going to trace it with a pencil. There we go. And then I'm going to cut the shapes out. And I'm going to do this with each one of my shapes that I created the templates for. Next, I'm going to use what's going to be the cocoa, or the inside of the cup, and I picked more of a browner paper here. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to trace the oval template, and then I'm going to cut out the shape. And I'm going to put it aside with the cocoa cup. Yep, there's the middle. Alright, and I'm going to do the same thing for the handle and for the saucer. And I think I'm going to use the same paper that I used for the cocoa cup itself for the handle. You could use a different one, but I think I'm going to use the same one. The last part is to pick out a paper for the saucer. I'm going to use something different than I used for the coffee cup, the cocoa cup, because I want to have a little more contrast in it. I'm going to lay the oval down on my paper. I'm going to trace the larger oval. And because this is a fairly large piece of paper, I'm going to cut the extra off first before I start cutting the oval, just to make it a little bit easier. And I'm going to cut my oval shape. And then I'm going to have all 4 components for my cocoa cup. That's starting to shape up. That looks like a cocoa cup. I'm happy with this. I'm going to put my templates aside in case I want to make some more. I have these, I can use them for tracers. Next, I'm going to get my background, and I'm going to kind of lay this out and see where I want to put the pieces for my collage. The bottom part of the paper is the table, so you want to make sure that your saucer is sitting on the table and not floating in the sky, at least for this piece. And there's my handle. Great, these fit pretty well. Okay. So you're going to need a good glue stick. We're going to start by gluing down the saucer first. So I'm going to remove the other components, and I'm going to start with gluing the saucer. So I'm going to suggest here, I started to glue on my workspace, and I went, maybe not such a great idea. I don't want to get glue all over my table. So you might want to grab a little scrap piece of paper when you're gluing. So I covered the whole thing. I'm going to stick it down in the kind of in the middle, but make sure it's completely on the table and not floating up where the wall is behind it. Don't want it floating in space. It's not a flying saucer. It's a cocoa cup saucer. Next, you're going to glue the cocoa cup, and now I smartened up and did get a piece of scrap paper to put underneath my cup. Make sure you get good coverage on it, and I'm going to put that in the middle of the saucer. There we go, and I'm going to press that down so I know it's sticking. Great, and I'm going to do the same with the cocoa in the middle of the cup and the handle. Really happy with this so far. So we're in really good shape. The last part of this that I like to do is I'm going to take an oil pastel. I'm going to start with a black one, and I'm going to outline each of the shapes that we made to create this image. I'm going to come down this side, run it right down the side, and while I'm working, because sometimes it's difficult to draw when it's right on top of you. So I'm going to turn my paper as I'm going, and I'm going to outline all the edges of this coffee cup, the handle, and the saucer. This is going to bring the detail out. It's going to make it a little bit easier to see. It's going to add some contrast and a little more interest in the art. Hey, voila, the cocoa cup's done. I'm really happy with this. This looks great. I think I'm going to add one more fun little thing. I'm going to take a white pastel, and I am going to draw some steam coming right up off the top of it. Maybe 5 or 6 little puffs of steam coming up. And then at the top, I think I'm going to add some curly Q. Right at the top. The white pastel is going to help to add a little more contrast to the image and make it kind of fun. So we're going to add a little curly cues at the top. And you can add whatever you like. Awesome. Right, I'm really happy with this. I hope you enjoyed this project, starting from our jelly texture prints. And then we made a beautiful collage with them. We used a lot of fun materials. Hope you enjoyed this project. We'll see you back in the art room. Bye, everyone. Oh, don't forget to sign your work.